אחד מציוני הדרך המרכזיים בדרכם של בני ישראל לקבלת התורה. So the Rebbe says that one of the very important, what we might call landmarks, or central inyonim and landmarks in the way that the Yidden on their way to be Makabel the Torah, or Yoba Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which is this coming week, which is the Hemshech after Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos Mavochim HaChodesh. Then we have Rosh Chodesh Sivan. So the Rebbe says that Rosh Chodesh Sivan is a very important day in the whole general movement after Yetzias Mitzrayim to Kabbalas HaTorah. Why? Because it's written in Parashat Yisro, it's written, Oz Bo B'nai Yisrael Midbar Sinai. They came to the place called Midbar Sinai. Shom Ye'eliyochem V'chein ניתן HaTorah. As Nimtza, that the Torah, despite the fact that it was given on a mountain, which was Har Sinai, the general area was called Midbar Sinai. In other words, that the whole Ikar area in which the actual Mesilas HaTorah occurred is called a Midbar. And the name of it is Midbar Sinai. But the Indian, but even Kloli, is the symbol of a Midbar. And so at the beginning of the Sikha, the Rebbe brings down that there are several Ma'amorei Chazal which indicate the greatness or the special significance of the fact that the Torah was given in a desert, in a midbar. And they say that the midbar is what we call a makom hefker. A midbar is not, I've kept your place, wherever you feel comfortable. It's that a midbar is a place where there's no ownership. Nowadays, I don't know, probably every piece of the earth nowadays there's probably political and other struggles going on as to who's the Balabas. But Oz B'Yom Mohim, the Midbar represented a place which is not in the balut of anybody. It's not really owned by anybody. And that's what's called a Mokum Hefker. And so I'll say that why was the Torah given in a Mokum Hefker? Well, that indicates that you don't have to be any way connected with anybody, or you don't have to have any yichus or ownership. You just have to come and grasp the Torah, and you can purchase actually the Torah. Mina Hefker, it's like anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. All you need is the ratzon to be kind of the Torah. And if you have that ratzon, then you can get Torah and you can become shayach to all the madrigas in Torah. For that we see that there's a tremendous significance that the midbar represents like an unowned place, and that indicates that everybody can chaperon, to use the expression in Yiddish, everybody can, if he only has the will, he can come and purchase, literally, or grasp in Yoni of the Torah equal to the greatest Gaon, or whatever it be. Ein nafkimina bein zelazet. Mekivan shemidbar Sinai kosher l'matan Torah, since the coming into Midbar Sinai was just prior to Matan Torah, Kenerma Moshe Kibul Torah mi Sinai. We see that it's not just Stam Akesha, but the Mishnah right at the beginning of Pirkei Avos tells us that the whole Kabbalas HaTorah Al-Idei Moshe, and him passing it on to all Yidden, was davka from the level of Sinai. With Sinai, that's indicatory of Midbar Sinai. So he said, "V'ha-Torah nitna davka b'Midbar, shehu mokim hefker, kedei l'hoirei shekol Yehudi yachol lilmod Torah." V'lochein, כשבני ישראל הגיעו למדבר סיני, אז הגיע הזמן שבני ישראל יקבלו את התורה. And as the Alter Rebbe brings down in Shulchan Aruch, they arrived in Midbar Sinai on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and because of the Torah HaDerech, and that they rested for the rest of the day on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, over the next day, immediately, Moshe Rabbeinu began busying himself with the Jewish people in reference to Matan Torah. And so the Alter Rebbe describes over there in Shulchan Aruch what happened on each day from Beis Sivan and further, what happened and what led and what was important on that day as a preparation for Matan Torah. So we see that the whole union of them coming into the Midbar is a very exact preparation for the whole of Kabbalah Satorah. And therefore it's brought down in the Medrash Rabbah that the Eibusha said to Moshe on Rosh Chodesh when they arrived, that now has come the Shas HaKoisha. This is the fitting moment for me to give to my people the Torah. Well, from that it's understandable that once they came into this place called Midbar Sinai, that's when the Eibusha, together with other factors, over that also is a leading factor, that now it's a fitting and kosher man to give them the inyan of the Torah. V'lochein, Tomid lifnei Chag Matan Torah, therefore always before Shavuos, which is Chag Matan Torah, koinem as a parsha b'Midbar Sinai. And it's brought down in the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch, and the Alter Rebbe also mentions that in Likutei Torah, in the Sefer Likutei Torah, that Le'olam, no matter what may be the kriyasam of the year, or whether it be a Shnas Ibor, or whether it be a Shana, a simple year, Shana Pishuta, always we read Bamidbar before Matan Torah. It's always the last Kriyas HaTorah prior to Matan Torah. Well, that's not 100% infallible klal, but it's always prior to Matan Torah. Because sometimes we read Parashat Nosai. On rare years, we actually read Parashat Nosai, but then Parashat Nosai comes out mamish Erev Shavuos. But normally, the final Parashat we read in the Torah before Matan Torah is Bamidbar Sinai. Al Kaponim Bamidbar is always close and prior to Matan Torah. So the Rebbe says, Korim is a Parashat Bamidbar Sinai, Kivan Shehinoi Amokim Haraui LaMatan Torah. Since it's a Mokim Raui, it's got the necessary qualities in it, like we just said, it's a Mokim Hefker, with other in Yonim, as it brought down in Chassidus, that the Midbar also indicates where you go out of your normal Seder. The way to be Zoycha to Torah is to like live in a Midbar. You got to overlook all the luxuries of life and be prepared to devote yourself to live in a Torah like life in a desert. Upon him, it's a fitting place to give the Torah. So the Rebbe said that's fine. There's a shaila that occurs to us in connection with that idea. Midbar, the whole idea of a desert, hinei mokum hefker, like we pointed out, it's not under the ownership of anybody. It's not even a reshusa or rabbim. And a reshusa rabbim, for example, doesn't belong in particular to anybody, but it belongs to the rabbi. And therefore there's certain halachas when they get to a reshusa rabbim, taking into account that there's an ownership called the public. The public own the reshusa rabbim. Of a midbar, since nobody owns it, a midbar is a place where there's no ownership. It's a mokim hefker. Mokim shaloi shayach la'af echad. It doesn't belong. It doesn't have a owner, a baal of any given individual. As who afilu loy reshus harabim. That's not even a public thoroughfare. Yeah, mokim sheshayach lo rabim. That's not even that. V'lochein kol echad yochol lekachas mishom mashu b'ratoinei. In those days, nowadays I'm not sure it would be so simple. But in those days, if you found something in the desert, that was it. It was, you just picked it up, and there was no concern that maybe somebody would come along and say, "Listen, this is my chatzer. What are you doing, taking things out of my chatzer?" Aval, says the Rebbe, Torah lo hufkara. That arouses a very basic question. That when we think about it, when Hashem gave the Torah, He wasn't mafkir the Torah. The Torah wasn't, from everything we see, it wasn't given to the Jewish people in a way that David just dropped it down from heaven into a midbar, that this doesn't belong to anybody. Chapter anybody who wants can come get it. That doesn't seem to be the way that we got the Torah. On the contrary, Hashem gave us the Torah in the form of a matana. It's like a gift. When you give a gift, you don't just put it into an unownable place and tell people to chap. It's strange. Why do so many of these medrashim stress that particular point of his man that the Eibishter wasn't mafkir the Torah when he gave it to Yidden? Lo yhufkar Torah ad kedi kach sheyesh Torah liknois that you have to come and be koine the Torah from the Hecher. Ela nasinosa nitno mi ba'alusai shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu leba'alusom shel kol am Yisrael. The Eibishter gave from his ownership into our ownership. And that's what we call Shavuos, Matan Torah. Matan Torah indicates that it's a matana. Hashem was the owner and still is. V'nosan lono es Torah soi. It's his Torah, but he gave it to us, and we have, as it were, a certain ownership and control over the Torah since he gave it into our ownership. Therefore, it's brought down that the Torah is like a, how do you call it, a Moirosha. Every year inherits the Torah. Why? Because it was originally given into the ownership of the people at Sinai, and then every generation it goes over in the form of a inheritance. In other words, it's not Hefker, the Torah. Not from the Abraham's point of view, and not from the point of view of the Yidden. Therefore, the Rebbe writes over there a very fascinating thing, that even a small child, even a child the day after it's born, the Torah belongs to it just like it does to any grown person, even a person who's born b'shonim, somebody who's well into his age, whatever he happens to be. A small child just born from its mother's womb owns the whole Torah, just like the aged person does, because as soon as he is born, he is Yoresh, that matana, which is the public ownership of all Yidden. So Im Kain, the Torah is not Hefker. It wasn't given by way of Hefker, and it's not Hefker the way it is. So he says, the Bazim Kodesh V'lochein, HaTorah shayeches l'chol Yehudi. Every Yid has got a shayeches and an ownership on the Torah. V'afilu l'tinach shenoled ze ato. Like we just pointed out. Afilu tina ben, Afilu tina ben yoimai, who's just being born right now at this moment. He gets the whole Torah just like any other person. But ein tzorech liknois a Torah. You don't have to come along and be kind of the Torah from the Hefker. You've already got it. It's already, and not only you've already got some aspect of the Torah, you got the whole Torah. but it belongs entirely to every year. ואם כן, מהו הסיבה שהתורה ניתנה דווקא במדבר? As you can, we need to understand why did the Eibishter, and it seems to be very precise, because until the Yidden came into Midbar Sinai, he didn't say now is the fitting moment to give them the Torah. He waited literally till they came to that place called the Midbar. Ismaila said the Rebbe, we need to understand why was it that he chose the Eibishter to give Davke in the Midbar, which is a Mokim Herche. Why didn't he give in a public place where at least there's ownership and at least indicates the people who are already owning where they are, and now they're getting something extra. Or to give in a place of Hefker something which is not Hefker, it doesn't really seem to fit or get together. So that's one of the first major questions of this secret. Now we go further. It says the Rebbe, Yeshna Parsha Naisevas Akeshura Lamatan Torah. There's another Parsha which has got a very close connection with Matan Torah and Shavuos, and that's Parsha Bhar Bechukotai, like where we have this week, and at this particular time that the Rebbe gave the Sikha in Kutzala, at least it was the same queer, that there was Bhar Bechukotai, Shabbos Mavochim, and then after that, Parsha Midbar, and then Matan Torah. So the Rebbe said from that it would appear that since Shabbos Mavochim benches Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which is the day of coming into the Midbar, and that would tend to indicate that Parsha Bhar Bechukotai also has a connection to the Indian of Matan Torah. So he said, Parsha Bhar Bechukotai, Oisa Koirim, but there are cloud, Lifnei Rosh Chodesh Sivan. And not only we read it before, but usually that happens to be Shabbos Mavochim, so we also bless Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Rosh Chodesh Sivan gains its blessing from that month. Mesupa, that's brought down in the Gemara, She'ezra, that's told in the Gemara, She'ezra Seifa Tiken Levnei Yisrael, Shikra'u Lifnei, it's a Gemara right at the end of Masechta Megillah. It's right in the last few lines of the tractate Megillah. The Gemara tells us that it's not just because Midbar Sinai has got some sort of spiritual, well, we have to say that is the case, but the Gemara doesn't make that the main reason why we read Bamidbar. The Gemara says there's a very simple Indian, what Ezra Hasefa, at the time when the Yidden were coming back at the time of the building of Bayis Sheni, they were returning to Eretz Yisrael. That's when Ezra Hasefa was mataking the whole Indian of Kriyas HaTorah in the Bati Knesset, and how all the parshas were divided up in leap years or simple years, and what parsha was read when. That's all due to the efforts of Ezra HaSefer. So it's brought down that in Parsha Bhar Bechukotai, there's a long piece in the middle of Parsha Bechukotai, which is a little bit unsettling, and that's called what we call the Teichacha. The Teichacha means the klolis, what you might call rebuking, rebucation, or whatever you might call it, that is part of Parsha Bechukotai. So Yidden have a taina that if we read that Parsha, and then immediately after that Matan Torah, that's not a very good connection. You read all these rather unsettling, what you might call rebukings, or whatever, and then immediately after that Matan Torah. So Ezra was mataking everything that we should read those things of number 4 Shavuos. However, we should make an interruption, which is Parsha Bamidbar. In other words, he fixed it in such a way that Ein Hanami, before Shavuos, we would read but we would always have an interruption before we got to to Chag HaShavuos in order not to read Chag HaShavuos right alongside all the, how do you call it, the Teichacha, the Chol. The Gemara says over there a cloud. And the Gemara says that we have 2 times of the year which are Rosh Hashanah. How do you call it? They're like leading, and they're like the first main days of the year. The first one is Rosh Hashanah, Bechukotai, in Tishrei. The second one is Shavuos. The Shavuos is like a, how do you call it, a Rosh Hashanah. It's like a whole new start. And therefore, it's connected also with the fruits, that the Rosh Hashanah, of the judging of the fruits, etc., is dafka on Shavuos. If Shavuos has like a whole new start, it's a whole new beginning. So therefore, you notice before those 2 big starts, we read a Teichacha. Before Rosh Hashanah, we read the long Teichacha at the end of Parashat Kisov. In other words, in Dvarim. And then before Shavuos, we read the one at the end of Bechukotai, at the end of Vayikra, and that's the Teicha that we're going to read this Shabbos. And it's a smaller Teicha. It's exactly 1/2 the number of klolis between what we read in this Pasha and the one in Parashat Kisov. It's exactly half. This one has 48 klolis, and the one in has 90 something, 96 or 98, depends how you count them, etc., etc. So the Gemara says, why do we read before a big change like that? We read the klolas because we want to say that let the year finish and let's pour out at the end of the year all the negative things, so that we'll be able to start a new year with a clean sheet. We'll be able to start off purely with bracha, the new part of the year. Before Shavuos we read the one in Vayikra, and before Rosh Hashanah we read the one in Dvarim. And the Ramban has a whole piece, and he tells us that the ones in Parashat Vayikra are more connected with Bias Rishon. They're like the klolos that connected with the destruction of the first temple. And therefore they're, as it were, milder, and there's not so many of them, because after 70 years the Yidden came back to Eretz. The one in Sefer Dvarim before Rosh Hashanah, that's longer. Why? Because it's connected by Sheni. And after by Sheni there's been a long Golus, and the Rebbe says that we're at the end of the Golus. So we've got to chaperein and make sure that we realize we are at the end of the Golus. However, that's the reason why. So, in order to avoid reading those clothes right on top of Matan Torah, Ezra made in the middle. We should always read Bamidbar Sinai. That's what the Rebbe brings now. So the Rebbe says Mesupa. Mesupa means it's told in the Gemara at the end of Masechta Megillah. She'ezra Sefer Tikkun Lefnei Yisrael She'yikru Lefnei Chag Matan Torah Pasha Bechukotai Amidaberes Al Brochas. Yeah. Im Yekaimu Es HaTorah. The klolos Be'im Loi. It talks about brochas if you do the right thing, but if Chas v'Sholom not, then about the Indian of klolos. Abu Kedei Sheyeh Hefsek Ben HaKlolos L'Chag, Chag meaning Matan Torah, Koidim Lefnei HaChag Gam Es Pasha Bamidbar Sinai. Amamela Nimtzol, he said, maybe sit here. According to that, we've got 2 reasons why we read Bamidbar Sinai before. One is what appears to be, even though we need to understand it more deeply, a Ruchnistic Indian, and the other is like a more technical way that we read Bamidbar in order to avoid being close to the close, in order that the rebukings or whatever you call them shouldn't be so close to Matan Torah. So those 2 things, we need to understand what is their connection with the Indian of Matan Torah, and why should it be Beklal that there be this whole Indian of the Klolas prior to Matan Torah, that we should have to interrupt them with the Indian. So we're going to deal with that as we go along. So the Rebbe says, Aparchias Bhar Bechukotai, Keshureis Matan Torah, Gam Bishmo. He said the two parshas, Bhar and Bechukotai, have a connection with Matan Torah, because they bless the coming into Midbar Sinai. Yeah, Gam Bishmo, also in their names, but they deal, as it were, with different aspects of Matan Torah. He said, Hashem shel parshas Bhar Sinai, zeu Hashem shel mokim bo nitna haTorah ki yadua. Yeah, in other words, Har Sinai, that's the name, with pure specificality, where the Torah was actually given. It was given in the general area of Midbar, Sinai, but in actual Poel Mamish, it was given on the mountain, Har Sinai. Kiyudua, V'Hashem shel Bechukotai, Mesameles Aseres Adibros, Shohoyu Chakukim, Al Shnei Luchas Abrit. Aseres Adibros, Af Koilem, Behelem, Eskola Terakula. So the Rebbe says, Bechukotai, in its name, indicates Matan Torah, because the word Chukotai is from the word Chok. And Chok is also from the word Chakiko. So Chakika means something that is graven into the source. It's not written on the source, but it's engraved in the Etzem HaDazah. So the same with the central factor in the whole Matan Torah was the Seres HaDibros, the giving of the Ten Commandments. So the Ten Commandments, they were engraved on the 10 luchos. They were oishis hachakika, and that's hidden in the word Bechukotai. And it's well known that the luchos Rishonais were very special in that the chakika, how they call it, the engravement on them, was from both sides the same thing. You know, when you engrave something through something, then it reads on the back side, back to front of what it reads here. But on the Luchos Rishonais, it read perfectly both ways. In other words, it was ponim v'ocher ba'aktas b'tachlis hashleima. That's a very, very profound inyan in the idea of chakika. So there was the Rebbe. That's important because they also, as well known, brought down in from the Rabbeinu Sadia HaGoyen, that he says that, and the Alter Rebbe brings it in chapter 20, in Tanya, that the Aseres HaDibros, they're koilel, the whole Torah koilel, that you can find an indication and a hint at all the other Tariyud mitzvahs in the Aseres HaDibros. And a fila, not only just that, but a fila ta'amim or inyonim connected with all the mitzvahs. So the Aseres HaDibros are very klolas, and they indicate the whole inner of Matan Torah. And so the name Chukotai, because those Aseres HaDibros were Chukukim, is also a name that indicates the whole concept of Matan Torah. So we've got Har and we've got Sinai, both of them representing Matan Torah. So he says, Gam ha'toiken shel ha'parshiyos kosher la'Matan Torah. Not only the names of the parshas, but also the inner content, the message of each of the parshas is connected with Matan Torah. Parsha Bhar matchila bepirut dinei shmita, v'omer shekol haprotim ha'ilu nemru laMoshe B'Har Sinai. Now, the parsha itself doesn't actually say that. That's what Rashi said. That's the famous Rashi right at the beginning. But there's a tremendous amount of discussion on why Rashi said that and how he said it and it's a very, very famous Rashi. But what it boils down to is that Rashi says that the inyan of the mitzvah of Shemitah indicates in the Lashon Yud by the Torah a very general inyan, but it gets to the whole Torah. In other words, that everything the Torah says, even the details and even the small dinim that apply to each general mitzvah, all of them came from Sinai. That's a very central theme in the whole Inyan of Matan Torah. Therefore he says, Kol hapratim ha'elu nemru l'Moshe b'Har Sinai, shemikan lomdim chachamim shekol protei ha'mitzvahs nemru b'Har Sinai, all the details of all the mitzvahs. U'parsha Bechukotai, mistayemes b'milim, that's the end of the whole Sefer Vayikra. It's written, Eila ha'mitzvahs asher tziva Hashem es Moshe el b'nei Yisrael b'Har Sinai. In other words, at the end of Parashat Bechukotai, there's like an all-embracing statement that all the mitzvahs we mentioned here and all the others in this whole Sefer, all of them were said to Moshe b'Har Sinai. So it's like we sort of, we start off with Har Sinai and then all the mitzvahs come from it, and it finishes at the end of Bechukotai in the same way. From that we see that the two parshas, as it were, symbolize in themselves the whole Inyan of Matan Torah, and they carry in themselves the message of Matan Torah. And by the way, that happens to be the message of the Klolos, that is called the Torah. The message of the Torah is also the same Inyan, that if you will keep the whole Torah, then everything will be good. On the contrary, it'll be almost utopian. The Ramban says that all the promises and all the brachas in Parashat Bechukotai are utopian. They're perfect, and he says there's never been a situation until Mashiach will come that's actually going to be exactly that way. That's what the Ramban says. But Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi just learned, and it appears in Rashi that if you keep the Torah, then you'll live in a perfect world. You live in a utopian world. Did you hear that? You heard about that? You keep the Torah, you live in a utopia. Oh, Mela. From that we see that if you don't keep the Torah, so that's like a Inyan Kloli in the whole Torah. It's like a bris with the Eibishter that binds us to the whole Torah. Everything in these two parshas is connected with the whole Torah B'Yifim Kloli. Says the Rebbe about Parshas Eilu lo ymuska klal midbar Sinai. In Bhar and Bechukotai, it's not mentioned the whole of the desert. Ela rach Har Sinai. It's mentioned a mountain. V'ashayla hamitbakeshes madua. If we're going to say that Bamidbar, like we said before, is so important, and it was put in by Ezra in order to interrupt it, that indicates it must have a very deep connection also with the whole thing. Why is it that these two parshas, which are both very essential indicators of preparation for Matan Torah, don't mention the whole Inyan of Bamidbar? They don't mention any necessity to be in a midbar before you get the Torah. But on the contrary, it begins with the word Har Sinai, and a Har and a midbar are like two opposite things. A midbar is a straight, level situation. But a mountain is something that rises up and is boiling. So the Rebbe said we need to understand why would that be the case. Beklal says the Rebbe Tzorik Lahovin Mahu Asiba Shenoisnim Chashivas Lamokim Specifi Boi Nitna Beklal. We need to, before we get to all the answer to all these questions, need to understand another very positive question, and that is, what does it really matter where the Torah was given? Why do we make such a what you might call in the Russian, which is common amongst people, why do we make such a big asik out of where the Torah was given? It was given on Har Sinai, Moshe Kibbutz Torah Mi Sinai. Bamidbar, to be Bamidbar Sinai, we stress, and then our sages come along and they say, oh, that represents this and that. In Yonim, tremendously detailed factors are made out of the fact where the Torah was given. Since the Torah is be'emes, a guidance to the life of the Jewish people, because the Torah just sort of said, listen, there's a Chaim Moshe Rabbeinu said, what does it matter so much where it happened? You know, what part of the world that this occurred? Why do we make such a big inyan out of that? You know? And it's a very big inyan, and like we said, we're only mentioning here some of those inyanim. It's brought down, and I'll say there's many midrashim, but they get to the desert and to Mount Sinai, and in Pirkei Avos, the great Meforshim go in. Why does it stress that the Torah was given at a place called Sinai? What does that place represent? And so the Rebbe said, what does it really matter? You know, what do we make such a big inyan out of it? Ari Torah mashpia al kol olam kulei. The Torah is meant to have an effect on the whole world, so it doesn't really matter where it was given. Mikach chayovim anu lahasi. We have to reach the final opinion. Shemokim se madgish es peulos haTorah ba'olam kulei. We have to come to the conclusion that the fact it was given in a desert, or it was given on a mountain, or both of them, they have a big effect on the whole world, and they are of importance to the whole world, since the Torah was given to affect the whole world. So those particular details of where it was given, they are of significance to everybody and to the whole world. So we've got to understand what is that significance. So therefore, what we're going to do, and this is very common in Tzidus Chabad, in order to understand that, we're going to have to understand something else. In order to appreciate why we go into the whole, the place, and we have to understand, and then we'll be able to come back and understand the answer to that question. I just hope we'll have the koyach at the time to make it back again. However, the Rebbe says during the Shabbos between Pesach and Shavuos, the meaning by Ala Yidden is to read Pirkei Avos. We learn Pirkei Avos on the Shabbos between Pesach and Shavuot. And the Alter Rebbe writes in his Siddur that you should learn the whole kite, that he got the whole summer. So therefore the Rebbe was machadish that meaning, and we learn Pirkei Avos. However, if we go from Pesach till Shavuot, then on this particular Shabbos we learn Perek Hay, the fifth Perek of Pirkei Avos, and that begins with a very amazing statement. And the Pirkei Avos opens, the whole fifth Perek opens with the fact that the world was created with 10 statements. Pasora Mamoris Nivra Ha'olam. Mamoris means like declarations, things that come out into speech, dibur. And there were 10 of them, and that's what you can deduce if you learn the psukim of Bereshit. And that's what the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, that there are 10 of them. The Gemara says really only 9. Over the word Bereshit itself is a maimon, that's the 10th one. However, the Rebbe says, Al Kach Mavur B'Zayah, it's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh by reference to the fact that the world was created with 10 statements. The Zohar Kodesh says, Shekeneged Aser Mamoris Shebehem Nivra Olam Yeshnam Aserasa Dibra Shebehem Nitno HaTorah. The Rebbe says that the Zohar said there are two tens which are tremendously important. One is the 10 statements that the world was created, and the other is the 10 commandments, which are the center of the Torah, as we said. And these two things are like parallel, or they function in parallel, one to the other. And it's written there in the Zohar Kodesh that their relationship is very intimate, to the point that if you learn the Aseret Divrei, Tahainu, you learn the Torah, then you cause the Asara Mamores to be in revelation. Because normally the Asura Mamoris are not in Revelation. When you look at the world, you don't really see Elikus, and you don't see how every moment the words of Hashem are reoccurring in the world as being created every second, and the Koich Eloki, which is inside the created entity, we don't see that. It's not something which is revealed to us. However, the Aseres HaDibros, the Ten Commandments, they are something revealed to us. They are given, and they were given clearly on Har Sinai. So the Zohar Kodesh says that if a man busy himself with the Torah, which is based on the Aseres HaDibros, not just the Aseres HaDibros, but the whole Torah, like we said, it's kolol inside the Aseres. If you learn the Aseres HaDibros, Tahinut Torah, then you have an effect on the world that you cause the world to be revealed and noticed by all people that it's a divine thing. You cause there to be a revelation of the Aseres Mamar. And that's what the Zohar Kodesh over there says. There's a remez to that it's written in the Korbanos that the Nesiim bought for the Chanukas Hamishkan, that they brought Kafachas Asora Zahov Malaya Kitoilis. Each one of them bought a golden like shovel type thing that was Asora Zahov. It was 10 units of gold. And at the end, when it sums up and says how many of them there were and so on, it says Asora Haka. Each cup was 10. But the way you say that in Lashon Kodesh is Asora Haka. So the Zohar Kodesh says Asora. What are these two Asoras? Yeah, what are they? So it says that's the Aseres HaDibros, and there's the Asora Mamaris, and they're like one alongside the other, and that comes to be Maramas, that if I learn the Aseres HaDibros, the whole Torah Kula, then I affect the Asora Mamaris. And what effect do I have on them? I cause them to become revealed. Yeah, they become, as it were, visible to the whole world, that the whole world is the Eibishter's creation. So therefore he says, and through that we cause a kiyum, how do you call it, a strengthening in the Matthias of the world. So therefore he says, שבהם נברא האלום, ישנם עשרת הדיבר שבהם ניתנה התורה, והם מקיימים את האלום. So what does it mean they're מקיים? They strengthen, as it were, the world. So he says, האלום נברא בשביל התורה. The whole creation of the world was only for the sake of the Torah, like Rashi says right at the beginning of his Parashat Torah, or b'schus limud Torah miskayem ha'ilon. And through the schus of learning Torah, the world has a kiyum. V'atorah oisa shalom ba'ilon, kach ne'am zoya. It causes a peace in the world, that the Torah, which is one of the main factors for the creation of the world, and the Eibishter statements, which are the practical factor of the world, they work together in full peace, and that's called Shloma in the Lashon of the Zohar. It's called peace. And just by the way, that's of great importance because the Rambam brings at the end of Hilchos Chanukah, the Rambam brings down that the whole world was only created for the sake of, the whole Torah was only given to the world in order to bring peace to the world. It's a famous statement. So there's a big discussion, where did the Rambam get that from? Where is there such a Maimon Chazal that the whole world was given only to bring shalom? So the Rebbe brings down over there that this Zohar, which seems to be talking about something else, finishes off with a very amazing statement and says, if you learn the Aseres HaDibros, Tainut Torah, and you cause a kiyum and a revelation that the whole world is the Eibishter's world, then you cause peace in the world. That's what they state in the Zohar Kodesh over there. So the Rebbe says that's just by the way, that is the source the Rambam, when he said the whole Indian of the Torah is to bring peace into the world. That's just an interesting tidbit. It's quite a fascinating one. So he says, we could maybe say it in a slightly different way, but the same basic idea, that what that just serves on Dibres, Megali, we recognize and we reveal, we make it clear, this is the point we mentioned before, that when we look at the world, that we don't see Boyer Begoli, we see Hela V'Hester. So he said, if you learn Torah, and it's like we said, you not only cause a kiyum, but what is the pshat in that kiyum? The pshat of that kiyum is that you take away the Hela V'Hester and you reveal the Eibishter in the world. Ela Laheifa, Chol Schus Kiyumei Sholo Elam, Urak Masha Asura Mamore Shebehem Nivru Elam, Elu Haboirei, Ilu Haboirei Yisalik Chasver, where are we? Urak Masha Asura Mamore Shebehem Nivru Elam, Ilu Haboirei Yisalik Cholila, Es Asura Mamore. If the Abishah would for 1 second take away the Asura Mamore, Yehopecha Elam Kulila Ayin Vo'efes Mamish. Well, that's brought down in Shara Yibod, right at the beginning. The Alter Rebbe says that if it weren't for the Asura Mamorit that recreate the world every second, then the world would be Chazali Ayin Vo'efes. But Ayin Vo'efes means that there wouldn't be any state. There wouldn't be any other alternative state, absolute naught. And the whole end of the Asura Maimar is that they bring about the world, the Yesh Mi'ayin. So what the point here is, that if you are busy with the Asura Satibres, then you reveal that fact which is not so begoli. And you announce and you make clear to the world that if the Eibishter weren't with us every second, then there's nothing. But not only just not nothing, but absolute nothing. He said, Yehovah Elam Kulil Ayin Vo'efes Mamish, Im Kain Kol Matzuyu So Shalo Elam Rak Megale Esa Aboirei. Im Kain, if you study the world, then you must come to the recognition that it's really only the Eibishter. The world and the Eibishter are basically the same thing. That's the kiyum of the world. That's the image of preservation of the world, to know what it's all about, to live in such a way that we recognize the inyan ha'elikus b'toich ha'olam. How do you achieve that? Through learning, through learning Torah. Yeah. So that's pretty good going. That's Karai to give a bit of time and to, how do you call yourself, go out into the midbar, you have to be a bit of a midbarnik, and you have to creep up on a mountain, you have to go here and there, different extremities, but it's worth the effort. Because through that you reveal how the whole world is really only the Eibishter. So that's one very fascinating inyan of that Mishnah, but that's just the beginning. So then the Rebbe said the Mishnah Mamshicha, and the Mishnah goes further, and it says, Asura Maimoras Nivro Ilom, very nice, V'haloi, Behold, B'maima Echad, Yochel Lehibore. The Eibishter is Kol Yochel, Kamuhan. So the Eibishter created the world in 10 statements. What is he doing, creating the whole world in 10 statements? What is his problem? He could have created the whole world in 1 statement. He could have created the whole thing in 1 word, and it would have been a whole world. What is he so insistent that he must have 10 statements? That's the question of the Mishnah. Ella, says the Mishnah, a very fascinating answer to that question. Ela lihipora min harushoyim shema'abdim eso'ilom shenivra basora mamoris. The whole reason he did that was in order to take revenge, lihipora, to demand payment from the Rishoyim, that they literally destroy the world which was created in 10 statements. ולא שכר לצדיקים שמקיימים את העולם שנברא בעשרה מאמרים. In other words, that the Eibishter made it he didn't need to do that. The reason he did it is that the world becomes, as it were, a Matthias divided up into 10 entities, so it becomes like more of a reality. Had it been created just with one Maimah, it might have been more botel, more recognizable that it was from Hashem. But now that it's been made into detail, then you can't avoid the fact that it's details. If it was details, then you get different sorts of people. You get Rishoyim and you get so the Eibishter wanted to do that. He wanted to make sure that the Rishoyim would get their part and the Tzaddikim would get their part. I asked myself the question, what the Eibishter is Tachlis HaToid. Everything with the Eibishter is only good. Why would the Eibishter deliberately make his world in such a way that he would have to put up with Rishoyim, and he would be pleased with the fact that he's got Tzaddikim, and that the one lot will, they will covet, to use the expression, they will get their rather unpleasant part of it, and the Tzaddikim will get a reward. And the Medrash Shmuel asks a question, and the Rebbe brings it. If let's say you had a person that he owed you money, or he was going to give you something, and that's really only worth a certain amount. But instead of giving you the whole thing, he decided to give it in pieces. Yeah. And later on, when he wants you to give him back, or he wants you to pay for it, you're going to have to pay more money because he decided to give it to you in 10 pieces. It's only worth what it was when it was 1 piece. Yeah. So why would what sense does it make to say that now we've created it in 10 pieces, then the tzaddikim and the rishonim have to put up with it? It's only worth what it was when it was 1. So what's this whole inyan? So the Rebbe's going to introduce us now to a very amazing. So Nisharet Ashela, if it could have been created through one Maimah, Lama Harishoim Tzrichim Lahafsid, they have to put up with it because he decided to give it in several pieces. The tzaddikim get the good part of it, and the Rishonim give it the way it is, and then it won't be the whole thing. They're like the famous Moshe, when you said, just because you divide it in 10 pieces, the people have to pay more, they have to get involved more. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe Ella, Shakadosh Baruch Hu lo yiboro es ha'olam stam kach b'asor mamorim. That's for sure, that the Eibishter didn't just, for some reason, what we can even complain about, decide to make it asor mamorim. Elamai, kidei livrei es ha'olam o yatzorech sheyeh b'foyo gam maimah echad. In order to create the world the way he wanted, there had to be 2 levels. There had to be Maimah Echad, Yochel. What that means, if Yochel, then that means to a certain extent, mitzad the omnipotence, there is a certain state which is called Echad, Maimah Echad. That's right there in the nature of the Bria. Shiyotze es ha-Matthias kiyum chayim ha'olam v'tuloi. V'gam asor ha'mamoros shemehem nivra kol hatzurei shel ha'nivroim v'kol prateihim. Now this is very amazing. I just need to give a brief background. Right at the very beginning of his Pirush on the Torah, the Rambam brings down that the word Boro is the only word in Lashon Kodesh for Yesh Mi'ayin. That the Eibishter created the world Yesh Mi'ayin, and that's why we use the word Boro. Boro tends to indicate more than any other word the concept of the nothing preceding the something. It's like we say, mi eino yeshnoi, from nothing to something, but that's the word Bhar. So the Ramban says that there are two states that the Eibishter brought about from the absolute naught into the something. And he said that didn't go just with one jump immediately from the absolute nothing into the absolute detailed something that we have right now. Elamai, he said that first of all the Eibishter made from the absolute naught, he made a general state, a general situation, and that's what he calls over there the Chayim HaRishoin. The Ramban calls it the Chayim HaRishoin. We learned about it in that's fascinating. I don't know if he's listening over there, but we learned about it in the minor last night, the Chayim HaRishon. Yeah, we had a whole thing about it in what we learned last night. Yeah, the Chayim HaRishon, and that's called in the Lashon of the Ramban, the Chayim HaYuli. That's what he calls it. The word Yuli is a Greek word, which means like a general, altogether simple state, but it's already an existing state. If you use the word Yuli, you don't mean something that's not there. You mean something that's already as it were there, but it's a general and all-embracing state. For reasons known to him, the Eibishter wanted that the whole universe and the whole Yakum should come about in two stages. First of all, this general Chayim HaKloli, and then after that, the Eibishter divided that. When I say divided, he was gathered from that Chayim HaKloli, the tzura of all the, and those are the two words Chayim v'tzura according to the Ramban. That first of all, the Chayim means the general material, kaviyohu, spiritual material, and then literally Hashem put all the shapes from his wisdom into this general thing, and the general state remains to a certain extent beyond all the details, but it produces all the details, but it's such an amazing state that it doesn't become finished by all the details. Well, that's what the Ramban says, and that's called the Chayim HaKloli or the Chayim HaRishon. So the Rebbe says that's what we mean by Maima Echad. The Maima Echad brought about from Einoi Yeshnoi. It brought about from the absolute nothing, the absolute something. But that absolute something is in a general state. And therefore it's called Maima Echad. However, since the Eibishter wanted a world where there would be individuals with the whole thing, and therefore he put tzuras into that general state, and those tzuras, they are all the Neroim in their individual milas and their individual qualifications or states that they have. Those are the two inyonim. That's the inyan from Maima Echad, Yochel. Why is it called Yochel? Because it's not yet really a creation. Yeah, and Asara Mamoris is how all the tzuras are put into that Chayim HaKloli. That's what the Rebbe is referring to here. It follows what he said that we have literally, really two states in the world. We have a general all-embracing state, and then we have a detailed state. And that's the difference between the two. So, what the Mishnah is saying is that the Eibishter, he could have stayed with this general thing. What did he need all the details? Because by having details, he wanted to bring about a world, and he wanted to bring about a world where people would contribute. Hashem wanted dira b'taktonim in a way that people would contribute to the benefit of their own and the situation of the world. Period. That whatever you did, you would be responsible for. And you would have to face a din v'cheshbon if you didn't do good. If you did good, then you would you would get a reward. You'd get a benefit. That's why the Eibishter created the two states. And that's the pshat in the Mishnah. However, the Rebbe said that there are two, as it were, real aspects in the Bria. And that's what he says now. Where are we? Shiyotzes Machias Kiyum Choyma He'ilom V'Suloi. Choyma means the Chayim HaKloli. וגם עשור המאמוריס שמהם, page 328, שמהם נבראו כל הצורס של הנברואים וכל פרטיהם. That's the עשור המאמוריס. אבל אומר, וההבדל הוא פשוט. So the Rebbe, what's the difference between them? Brias ha'olam b'mayma echad hidgisha es koire shel haboirei, that the Eibishter can bring about yesh me, ayin shekoire livre yesh me, ayin, as the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that is only the koire of the Atzma Ein Sof himself, only the boirei has that, adequate ability to create the yesh min ayin. V'ilo matzias anivra, so we see there, we don't really pay much attention to the Nivra. The main thing is we're concerned with the power of the omnipotence of the Eibishter that he can produce such a thing. Kivan shegam kishuhu Nivra, loy hoye loy matzias klal. Yeah, even after it's created, it doesn't really have any matzias. It's all only the matzias of the boirei. Abriyas ha'ilon basara mamoris. However, when I come down into the Asora details, Madgisha Davki Esa Matzias Vachashivas Ha'ilom Al Kol Protei Hanivroim. It gives, how do you call it, a situation and a importance, or what you might call significance, or maila, to each detail. In Kol Protei Hanivroim. Asora Mamoris, how you can negate a sort of tchunes kloliyas, but that's what the Ramban over there calls the 10 spheres. He calls them the Eser tchunes kloliyas, sheheim koilelim as kol ha-mailas she'esh bo'elam. The Eser spheres are like the state kloli from which all the mailas and all the details come out into detail. We have a situation where Madgish only the boirei and his absolute power to create yesh min ayin, and that's Maima Echad. Or we deal with how he through different media, which we call the 10 spirits, he brings about details in the creation which have their own Maila, and we don't see the Maila of the boirei, but we see also the Maila of each specific entity. We have to pay attention to that. Avamela says the Rebbe, Gam b'matan Torah yishnam shnei protim kenebed ha'mayma echad v'asor mamoris. Also in Torah we have these two inyanim. We have one general, absolute state which indicates more the greatness and the omnipotence of Hashem, and then we have details in the Torah itself which begin with the Aseres HaDibros, but in Koilel, all the halachas, for example, the halachas of Mamish Ein Mispah, and each halacha has got a significance to the life of the whole world, but in a specific way, and it indicates a very, very necessary point which only it can bring. That halacha brings that inyan, which another halacha doesn't bring that in Biklal. So therefore, says the Rebbe, those two inyanim are found in Torah. He says, Al matan Torah nema betchila achas diba elokim. It's a pasuk in Tilim. That one, the Eibishter spoke, shtayim zu shomati. It's written that the Eibishter spoke, as it were, achas, he spoke one entity, and I heard two. So the Meforshim point out over there that the word two doesn't necessarily mean just two. What it means is that two, legabi one, is plural and singular. So the mitzad echad ha-Torah hi chokmaseh shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu achas im HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One aspect of Torah is that it's only the Eibishter's wisdom, and it's one thing with him, and therefore it's completely beyond the world, and the world is botel completely to that aspect of the Torah, and that's achas diba elokim. That's achas, how it is mitzad the Eibishter, diba elokim. Keneged maima echad b'loshen HaMishnah. However, he said, mitzad sheini, ha-Torah yodo li'olam. We see the Torah came down into the world, והיא משייחסת לאודום ולעולם ולכל פרוטי העולם. ולכן ישנה תרי"ג מצוות כנגד 613 איברים וגידים שיש בהם. And therefore you got 613 mitzvahs which are related to the man. In other words, we make him a very important entity and we give all the halachas according to how he is. Keneged asara mamari. That's as with a parallel in Torah to how every specific Indian becomes important. So we got then achas dibber elakim. We have the etzem Klolus Indian of Torah, how it's beyond the world altogether, and then we see how the Torah relates to man and makes him very important, how he is as an individual, and you got all sorts of different halachas which contribute to the general welfare of the world, of that man. So the Rebbe said, Alidei Aishachasas Lamaima Echad Shabbat Alidei Birchas HaTorah מה שמבטא ביטל אל ניסן התורה, מגלים גם בעולם את הביטל של העולם לבוירי. ואס כוח הבוירי להווה יש מאין. ועל ידי לימוד התורה, לימוד כל הפרוטים והדינים ופרוטים ויסוד המאמורי שבתורה, מגלים בעולם שכל מציאוסי וכל פרוטים הם קדושים. ותפקידם הוא רק לגליס הבארי. So he said that when you make Birchas HaTorah in the morning, that's what the Rebbe says, you can't learn Torah without Birchas HaTorah. When you make a bracha in the morning before you learn, you give yourself away bittul gomer. To the Eibishter, he's the noise of HaTorah and he's the klal otzum from which everything comes, also even of going back to one central bittul, achmi, element, to that central concept. And then you get down to business and you learn Torah in detail, but then you come out and give each specific prat its own tremendous significance of its own. So those are the two inyonim. So the Rebbe says that mitzad that bittul to the Eibishter that expresses itself in Birchas Torah, you don't really get a sachar for that. It's not really shy that you be given a reward for that. Why? He said, let's take an emissary Eved working for an emissary master. He doesn't get any pay. His whole in is that he is an Eved to that particular master. Well, that's his whole material, and he doesn't need pay, he doesn't get paid. But once you get down into details, and you get down where he's no longer an Eved, he's carrying out good things for the sake of a boss or a hirer who's hired him, but it's due to him because he's doing specific things. Based on his effort, it's due to him a reward. So therefore, that's where you get the Indian of Sochel Tatik here in the details. But if you mess it up, then Chas v'Shalom you don't get Sochel, but you get the opposite. Amamira says the Rebbe, that's how Kishayek. Once you come down to the details, or when you're a beetle in Birchas HaTorah, rak to etzem metzias shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then you're an Eved. He said it never doesn't get paid. There's no shaykhs. That's the inyan from Maima Echad Yochel Lehir, he bores, and that's how it is. Amamela, the whole rest of the Sikha is showing us how in every aspect of our lives we've got these two factors. We've got the factor of Bittul, Gomam, the etzem koyach of the boyre, and there the Eibishter is more, as it were, to the fore. He's omnipotent, or our devotion in detail to the Eibishter through the different details which come about. That expresses itself in all sorts of refining, in all sorts of ways, and ultimately it's also got to do with the Indian of the Gula Shlema, and the Ika, the Gula Shlema, is also where everything's going to go back to one thing, that the Eibishter is the only Balabas, and he's made a Dira B'Tatoinim only for him. That's the Ika. The the other thing is that he's also going to reveal a perfect world. It's going to be all the details are also going to be v'tachlis hashleimas, even to the point that the clothes will grow on the trees and all sorts of amazing things which are going to be taken from Yad when Mashiach comes. And that's the importance of the details of the Di'ika is the people of Goma to Barabayas.
How's the answer to the question from the beginning? How's the answer to the question from the beginning? Why it has to be Bamidbar?
So he says to us that two things about being in the Midbar. One is he's going to place a head. But nobody calls it. It's coming up. Coming up at the edge of the wall. It's so hard, huh? But he's not doesn't go there. Nonetheless, the people, that's where they ask for the people. Then you put all the details also give. They were given on the mountain.
What do you want? It's a free,
לא צריך את זה, מה, מי צריך את זה? שוגע אותי. אתה תוקע פה מיקרופון, מה? מי צריך את זה? KGB.
שומעים אותך בהקלטה עכשיו, אז אל תדבר שטויות, טוב?
לא צריכים את זה אבל.
אתה גם לא צריך להיות פה אם אתה לא רוצה להיות. שומעים אותך בהקלטה, אבל תקטיב את זה.
lower the volume.
We have to raise some small ones.
ברוך אתה מקום שהכל
Never not supposed to eat salty things, only sugar. Only sugar, no salt.
Plate, so you better want a plate.
I could use an upper plate. I'll have the soda then. Soda. Please. Not yet. We just got here. Of Gafni.
The what? The wine. Where I come from, sheep or flocks.
We didn't have cheap wine in
No, man.
You want to open up the driveway?
What up? What's up, Mike? What up, Peppa?
מה זה? יש פה. אז פה.
Yeah, sugar's giving out some sweetness.
אני גם אוכל סוף.
Okay, so this is a little bit of an exclusive.
Oh, Yehuda. Yeah.
I'll give you some.
Oh, yeah, Yehuda. Now we're talking.
There's some tuna fish over there also. Not so much, but there's a little bit. All
I got some good wine here.
Okay.
Line up the brothers.
Okay. I started earlier, but I'll keep going.
Time they brought.
Put
Put a piece of fish on there.
What?
Put a piece of fish on there.
Sure. Chaim.
חיים רבי יעקב.
Time they brought.
When you're not there, it's a show.
There's our Hashem.
My wine, yeah?
Chaim.
That's what is my wine, no? Rabbi Yacov.
Okay, you sitting here?
Okay, I'll do it.
You want one of these?
Pockets of punch.
Jai.
Pockets of...
I didn't ask you. I just asked you if you wanted it.
Live fish. Not chai. Not live anymore.
How you doing?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Amen. Not that.
You gotta slide over a little bit. That way. Thank you very much.
יש להם את הדברים האחרים שיש שם הבעיה.
This one.
I can use a cup.
It'll work from there.
Thank you. Chaim.
Time they brought.
Yehuda.
Or Kosab.
Chaim Yehuda.
What?
Chaim.
It's Barki with S. That's right?
Everything that you
Yeah.
want
All right.
this year should be tripled and quadrupled.
You have a cup?
Much more than you ever thought about.
This is very powerful.
I hear him supposed to give those blessings to get him back, but without that kavana.
Chaim.
How's that?
So, the Chaim
I
Yehuda,
don't know if I need a just to be open.
Chaim.
We pass the Kaitud.
In reference to Yom HaLedas, we also find in Yom HaLedas, we also find the two factors, the two inyonim we were just learning about. That's where the Rebbe says that there's a beetle kloli to etzem aboirei alidei kabbalah soil, where you bottle to the etzem dinik hanelkus, the birchas haTorah. And then he said there's even of the detailed inyonim of the halachas. And all those in Yom and Torah, they have to do with a specific mile of every detail and every answer. So we find in the minhagim of our Yom HaLedas, the way the Rebbe gave them over to us, we find that there are like two nuances or two aspects which fit in perfectly with those two in Yom. And that is, it's written that on the Yom HaLedas, you have to find time to be misbeided. How do you say misbeided?
Contemplate.
To be alone completely. But that would tend to indicate that you have to go into a room and lock yourself up, lock yourself away. So what's the purpose of that? The purpose of that is that you should go up מלמטה למעלה, ממציאס לבוטל ומציאס. You should leave your Matthias behind and go up into the Etzem meaning of Bitro Elo is Baruch, where you just have it. You don't have any Matthias. Your whole Matthias is only that you're his Ever. That's one aspect. The second aspect is we find that you got to make a verbringen, and you got to take Hatlotas Tevas, and you got to be very active and progressive on the day of your birthday. And to make a verbringen means that you recognize that there's individual powers in the creation. We're all different people. We've got to come together. And each of us has got to add his own particular koiches, his own particular individual aspects that he can add to the other guy. That's the idea of a verbringen. That's the whole concept of a Chiddush verbringen. And so that's the union of our Yom HaLedas. That first of all, b'mayim echad yochel lehiboles, you got to just go back to what you are, that you're a creation of the Eibishter, and to devote yourself b'bittul b'matzias, Halo is better, and try and work out where you're holding in the world, b'emeslami. Where are you holding when I get to that bittul? You know? What's going on with you, personally? And then you got to take that koya, and that energy, and that potential of that new relationship with the Boire Echad, how he is mamish mudom yaoilam es lagamri, and how you bottle it up for Matthias, you got to take that out and share it with others. And that means that everybody's got a certain what you might call job or function, which we recognize. and we want to share my particular inyan with him, and work always together to make the world a better place. And be'ikah, be'nagir l'zmanenu, l'inyanenu, to bring the Gula Shlema, to bring everything in the name of Poel Mami. It's not enough, just to reach the good conclusion and the good resolution. Yesh Lema, that's why the addition to the resolutions is a farbrengen. Because in a farbrengen, the resolutions become more actualized, you know what I mean? They become more down to earth. And that's the famous Mazer that happened with the Reb Marash and the Talmud Tzedek. When he went in and late in the year, there was supposed to be a cage to the Talmud Tzedek, the Reb Marash. Right near the end of the year, was supposed to be a cage. And he said to the Talmud Tzedek, where's Mashiach? Mashiach didn't come. So the Rebbe, the Talmud Tzedek, said that we printed the Likkutei Torah the first time with the Hagos of the Talmud Tzedek. There had already been a print before that, but the print with the Hagos from the Talmud Tzedek was the first time. But in the year Tov Reish Chet, so the Talmud Tzedek already printed the Likkutei Torah, and Chutzah Maya Nosecha Chutzah Ka'osimah, spreading the words of Pnimis as Gula to bring Mashiach, which means that there's a certain Matthias of Mashiach has occurred in the world. So you know what the Reb Marash said? You don't know.
Maybe let's see.
So the Reb Marash said, in other words, what you say is a Hayin of Mashiach. It's brought a coming down of the teachings of Mashiach into the, what you might call the atmosphere, the Avi Oilam, of it to make Mashiach a reality. That's the inyan from Poel Mamish, you follow? That's what the Reb Marash, that's what he said to his father, of the Tatu Medavo Bahom Poel Mamish. You follow? It's all fine, the Likkutei Torah and the Alinyon, it's wonderful, but not Poel Mamish. And that's the inyan of Yom HaLev. Mitzad Echad, you're going to go up in solitary adequate connection with your Creator, devote yourself to Him in a whole new bittul, b'matziyas, lock yourself away, in order that there should be Poel Mamish, you got to come out and recognize the individual power of each and every one of us, and that we're shutfim, and we're all got to work together. And if I share my resolution with somebody else, then Kulei will become the last factor that's required to bring the Gula Shlema. That's it in the Kudah. That's what the Reb Marash said. That's the answer. People say there are all sorts of good things. They say, well, this is happening, that's happening. All sorts of nice things seem to be happening. But the answer to all that is, Midafum B'Poel Mamish. We have to have Poel Mamish. Mashiach is no longer a beautiful vision of the future. Mashiach has become an absolute necessity for Regazet. That's an akud. Kochesness and all those monim. That's made a living necessity for Regazet. Amel Hashem should open us all. And so we wish Yehuda, we wish him a Freilich Yom HaLev. Amen. It should be an Eirach Yom Shon Teves. Amen. It should be many long years. But I would say that those many long years should be Nitzchim. How do you call it? Everlasting years. with Mashiach. That's what the Rebbe promised. The Rebbe promised. The Rebbe said clearly that the generation now is moving into Chaim Mitzvah. That's what the Rebbe said. I heard the Rebbe say. I was actually there. He said it on numerous occasions. But we're moving into a whole new gear where we want Poel Mamish, and we need the Inyan of Poel Mamish for the Klolos Elon. So that's what we wish Yehuda, long life. We wish him permanent life.
Chaim needs him.
Eternal life.
Yeah. Unlimited life, eternal life.
That requires Mashiach.
Right there,
That requires Mashiach.
Thank you.
Is
Mashiach now.
but in Yesh Lema, that it requires demanding Mashiach. You know what I mean? It requires the Rebbe wanted a whole new army. He wanted an army of people that are activists. I don't quite know what word to use. Not just satisfied with nice ideas, but demanding purpose.
That's the word.
No secrets.
That's the word they used to describe me when I was speaking at the Rappaport event. They called me an activist.
We have to have a Poel Mamish. And Poel Mamish is a Inim and Shira. Those two Inyanim, Maima Achaz, Bittel B'Matthias Gomer, of Asura Mamoris, recognizing the greatness and the essentiality of individual power inside the realities of the world as such. And therefore it's an amazing sikha, and the Rebbe develops on that theme.
Gabriel, you might.
So we wish all of us a good Yom Haledes in the sense that it's like a birthday for all of us, especially Matan Torah.
Yechia Melech.
Matan Torah's almost a birthday. What did Rabbi Yosef say? The Gemara says in Masechet Pesachim, "Yilav ha'yoma kama Yosef ika b'shukeh." If it weren't for this day, then there's a lot of guys called Joseph in the marketplace. I would have been one of them. He had got knocking around with the guys. You know. What made it possible to come close to Torah and to mitzvahs and to the Eibishter was Yom Matan Torah. Each one of us can see that as his birthday, Yom Haledet. He was mamish born again. It's not so simple. He loved High Yoma. Who would know what it would have been? It's Pamela, very young. As the old saying, we've got to get moving, got to get cracking. And so each and every one of us, he will sit down for a minute and say, "Hey, Mr. Bottom of Matthias, only but I wanted at the same time to give me the courage to go down into the individual lives of each and every one of us and propel mummies. Yeah, we should change the whole Matthias.
Amen.
Chaim, guys.
You pass the wine down there, please?
Chaim.
Oh, the Tepperberg there.
Yura.
The Tepperberg, the white label.
Sure, of course.
Same thing?
Maybe a Niggin person.
The other one.
You gotta know that Jew is only
The other one.
Ein Oid Movada,
We don't want this one.
but at the same time, you got to be practical. You got to come down into the world.
Here we go. There you go. Yeah,
Move some of the rocks, and how do they say it?
Right.
Get moving.
Yes.
As long as we don't give them too much attention.
Why
As
is it
long as you
that?
attend to the whole group.
Yeah.
So, listen, I have to go because I don't want my taxi gets very upset.
It's healthier, a little bit healthier, honey, right? A little bit.
So, in honor of my friend Yehuda, I want to tell a little story. לכבוד חברי יהודה אני רוצה לספר סיפור. This happened about 4 hours ago. זה קרה לפני 4 שעות.
Just go in English, he doesn't have so much time.
This is English tonight.
Oh, okay.
You can break it.
So I was in a supermarket, and I just had to buy 1 container of goat milk, and I was in the line that said for 10 or less. And in front of me, I see 2 Chiloni girls, about 15 years old, tight jeans, etc., and they have an agala in front of them, and they have a giant bag of charcoal, and a humongous amount of pita, and a giant bag of ice. And so I said to them, can I go in front of you? I just have this one thing. And they said, no, we're in a hurry. So I waited, and they had to wait because there was somebody in front of them. And so I looked at one of the girls was wearing a t-shirt, and it said something in English, and I don't know if she understood because many Israelis wear t-shirts in English and they don't know what it means. And the t-shirt said, be who you want to be. And I looked at it and I said to myself, you know, you're right. You are who you want to be. So, Yehuda, that's what I say to you. You are who you want to be. You work very hard here at Chabad. You are the face of Chabad for many of us, and you will continue to work hard to be who you want to be.
Amen.
I want to be.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good advice. Good. Okay.
Or a description, maybe we can call it. An apt description.
Very nice.
I want to be.
I want to
Very
be.
good advice.
Okay, so that leads into my bracha to you guys, and a little personal commentary here.
If you give me, I have to move.
Okay, you got to go?
Because I don't want him to get angry.
Okay. So I walk. Okay, I'll come back to the rest of you guys. If you can stay a little bit longer, we'll make it short. Remember, Gafni has to leave. You guys will stay for a little while longer. You can go to Belleville, wherever you're going.
What do you say? Go to where?
Belleville,
Oh, I heard something.